And we're back. So before we start round two, we're going to kind of go through the groups of the tournament and just kind of highlight what's going on. So we're going to start here with Group A. So once again, it's four groups of four. You're gonna have to win two matches to be able to advance, either your first two matches in a row, or you can just take one loss. So here we see that the people that won their first round were GameGromp and Almost. And that's actually going to be our feature match for this round, but we're going to go through all the brackets first. So Game Grumps on this pretty interesting Stone Scar aggro deck, with Almost on the Xenon Reanimator deck. And then in the losers bracket, so that's a fight for survival in the tournament, we have Croge, who is on
AP, it looks like.
yeah, AP with like Minotaurs, and Apple Chips is on this interesting Menace Throne Room deck.
Just played them actually on in Throne before we started, and it was good. I lost.
So we'll go to Group B. So for that one, we have Phoenix, Lights Out Ace, Stormguard, and Prakalakin. And it looks like it was Lights Out Ace and Prakalakin that won their first round. So Lights Out Ace is on Xenon Reanimator with the Subversion market that we saw from Jez earlier today and last week, from TRS as a whole last week. Prakalakin is on the Cumbrae Relics deck, so very similar to Spifferifics. And Stormguard is on the ABCDE. I forget there's an F in his, but the tradition beatdown deck, while Phoenix is on this Nesting Aviasaur Eclipse combo deck. So kind of trying to take advantage of Unleash and just being able to produce this huge board.
That's a crazy deck.
Yeah, I hope we get to see it on camera, but we'll see. We'll see if time allows. All right, so this is Group C. So we have this bracket has Spifferific and A-Boss as the winner. So Spifferific on Cumbrae Relics, as I mentioned earlier, and A-Boss on Onis, very similar to Gosu's. While John Cakes is on also Argenport with Minotaurs, and Secret Plans is on a pretty stock-looking ABCDEF, so Tradition aggro deck.
Secret Plans, okay.
I'm
not familiar with Secret Plans, actually.
Secret Plans kind of came in out of nowhere, kind of had the JNL effect of last year, just coming in out of nowhere, winning the first event they played in, and then just ending up here. And then we actually saw two matches from this bracket earlier, so Mail against Jez as the winner so far, so Huru Control against Xenon Reanimator, while Martin is on a pretty stock-looking Argenport list, a more justice-heavy one with Siditi, and Gosu is on Onis. So that's kind of how this breaks down. So just as a reminder, if any of those winners win again, they're in the top 8. And then if any of the people in the losers lose, they're just out of the event. And then we're going to have the 1-1s play for round 3. So as we mentioned, we're going to be watching GameGromp against Almost. So let's check out their decks first. So walk me through this one, Marvin. So GameGromp brought the Stone Scar aggro deck.
Again, this is kind of just, get your units down and punch your opponent's face. I actually played something similar to this, might actually be this deck, earlier this week. And buttons, if you can get buttons down, buttons could do some serious damage, whether it's just by itself as a 5/2, or if you imbue it and you can kill something and get it huge. So this deck is really fun. They do have edicts, Edict of Makar for I guess we're looking at some sort of big Cumbrae units that one would go for, but I'm not real sure, in the meta what that would really hit. I guess it hits, time units in the, but I'm not sure what they were thinking in terms of, why they chose Edict in this case. But I mean, a unit can't block too, so that can also help in that regard as well.
Right. Against everything except for maybe like Mail's unitless or close to unitless Hero control deck. It's always going to do something because you're really just trying to beat down. So it can help you punk in some extra points of damage. And then
And
we're gonna go over to Almost's deck list, so the Xenon Reanimator list.
yeah, this is the deck that I wish would just disappear. It's such a pain in the butt, but you know, it's basically just fill your void and then be able to Katra to get all of your power that you need in order to cast Vara, and then just empty your void and put it all on the battlefield. And it's kind of just the list that I feel is not fun to play against, but you know, I understand it's a great deck. I mean, it does what it needs to do.
Yeah,
I
and
think that,
oh,
go
sorry, you
ahead.
go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The card that's helping to make the deck hum a little bit more is the Bren's Insight from the most recent set. So by being able to look for cards like Arcanum Hourglass to help with the ramp plan, like say if your opponent has a way to counter Grasping at Shadows, then you're able to still find the Arcanum Hourglass, you know, kind of get out there. But also it still mills your, or it self-discards and allows you to stock up your void.
And if you know, if your opponent does have Void Hate in Gavel, End of an Era out of the market has been good against that. I've been trying to play AP lists against this deck, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But End of an Era is one way to kill it.
Yeah, so we'll see if GameGromp can kind of get under what Almost is trying to do. So looking at opening hands, it seems like there's a top of screen curse where all of your opening hands are going to have one power. Uh, so we're going to see that pitch back by Almost. From GameGromp's side, I think you can do better. Like, it is
Yeah.
true that your only one drop is Battlefront Dasher, but in general, it's like this isn't what you're about. Like, this isn't what you want to do.
Yeah, I think that the two open contracts don't really help, I think, in this matchup, right? I mean, so like killing a Spore Folk, I mean, is that really something that you care about? I mean, I don't think so.
Right.
Maybe a Rat King, maybe a Merchant, but I
I
just
mean,
don't.
so one thing that is good is that you can kind of slot in a lot of the removal spells as Game Grump into however your curve looks because you just have like so many twos that a lot of the time you go 2-drop on turn 2 into turn 3 2-drop plus removal spell. So they're all kind of like interchangeable from that standpoint.
I feel like Game Gromp's hand, I mean, it's good, but the fact that power is depleted and it's going to be depleted until turn 3 before they can play something,
Well,
perhaps, is might not be
it,
so great.
it was unintuitive to me to not just lead with the
Oh,
painting and then play the etchings. That way your seat comes in play undepleted. Then you have undepleted on 3 also.
and my
Um,
apologies. I didn't see that that was a painting. I thought that was a seat.
it's okay. Yeah. So yeah, kind of just an interesting sequence there. Maybe looking to say, okay, like I really value going to the market, so I want to hold both of my fire etchings to that end. Um, but yeah, I wonder if we'll see the Rat King trade here. The rats don't really do much here, and then
Yeah.
even shrinking one of them doesn't make them any less deadly. You kind of have to activate over 2 turns, so I like the trade there.
I feel like the out of the market, that Game Grump would probably go for Caleb's Persuader. I mean, they do have 9 fire sigils in their deck, which
Hmm.
sometimes when folks play Caleb's Persuader, they don't really have the fire sigils to back it up.
Hmm.
But in this case, maybe that's not so bad.
Yeah, another thing you might see is a Sill Stronghold
That's true.
to kind of apply some of the pressure, but the 2 rats do a good job of being able to attempt to contest that. But Sill Stronghold does sometimes encourage you to only attack with 1 unit anyway, so then you can kind of block the rats from there. From Almost aside, the graveyard's not yet stocked, so maybe just trying to think, what do I actually want a merchant for? Whether or not you want to get your
Saloon
Grasping at
Massacre,
Shadows,
maybe?
but yeah, I like End of an
Eavesdrop?
Era.
End of an Era?
Yeah. So with end of an era, you're able to kind of just clear the board, and then you're looking to see if you can actually maybe get the Diesel's office. But it really just it's kind of just like the break in case of emergency sort of switch.
Yeah. Do we? Okay, so they chose the champion. Yeah, champion makes sense because you get the overwhelm damage, and it's not like they can chump anyway. So
Right, it's just the biggest bang for your buck. And then we see GameGromp just trying to think, probably going to put the Edict in the market. As you mentioned in the pregame, just not having many targets here. And then you would want to keep the Fire Sigil in your hand for the Jack. And then
right.
I think we'll see a still Stronghold, but I can see the Persuader that you mentioned earlier as well. I think
I
what
wonder if
GameGromp's also thinking about is like what did almost market for, and then trying to play around that as well.
we don't know what's. I didn't really catch what's in there. What's in almost void.
Yeah, I think it's just
Not a lot of stuff.
yeah,
Okay.
just the Katra was the main hit that was milled or put to the void through the chairman's contract. Okay,
Yep,
so
you were right.
yeah, so the stronghold just trying to bring the beat down a little, but it still requires choosing to put the merchant into the void instead of the edict was actually pretty interesting, but I think that's because of the Katra in the void and figuring that this might actually be a reasonable line. So pretty heads up play there, being able to still be able to kill the Katra, whereas the merchant wouldn't have helped you that much there, and because there was a dual influence power in the void would have been out of range for the Jack being able to kill it. And since Katra is a hero, the Still Stronghold's victimless crime isn't able to kill the Katra, so pretty heads up play from GameGromp there.
So it can't kill it, right?
Which one?
So victimless crime
Right,
cannot kill
right.
the
So it
Contra.
has to be the edict.
Yeah.
From Almost's perspective, they're trying to think whether or not they want to deploy the Dark Water Vines. Um, And so one interaction that comes up sometimes is how regen works against units like uh, Cha-Cha, and it's just that it kind of absorbs all of it.
Right.
So all 5 of the points will go to the Dark Water Vines.
So does Game Gromp play the Jack or no?
It's hard because they know that Almost went to the market, and I think they could deduce that's end of an era. So you really just want to do the play that's best against that. But
Might
it
just
is
be
true that if you play the Jack here, then they're still not able to get the Dizo's office off of it, and that's really what you're trying to stop. I think playing it slow is a really tough decision to make, but I think I also agree. Unfortunately, this is kind of the ramification of that, which is if you played the Jack, then you could have gotten the vines off of the board, and then that
yeah.
would have been able to prevent this extra putting cards from the deck into the void.
Ugh. Power's not really what they wanted. Probably just okay. Clear the vines. At least they get a treasure trove out of it, and I think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's not nothing. I wonder, so if we saw the insignia last turn, we would have been able to play Banner and play the Trove this turn. Uh, so that's kind of just an interesting
Yeah.
dynamic. But you kind of want to hold extra cards just in case you get, say, another Jack or market access. So kind of some interesting tension that is, kind of just every small decision can add up.
So okay, they play end of the era. Guess that makes sense. Although I was thinking you could have just played
Ikaria.
Icaria, right? I mean,
Yeah, so if you play
take 5.
Ikaria and kill the jack, and then they attack with the Cha-Cha, are you blocking with Ikaria? I think that's kind of the question that Almost was
Right.
asking themselves. Because then you're closer to parity than you're actually ahead. Meanwhile, this can actually allow you to get ahead with your Ikaria since you're not like priced into blocking.
Yeah. And now the stronghold is pretty not so great, right?
Yeah, you can't victimless crime Ikaria.
I mean, there's nothing to really grab.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if that was just. Well, they didn't have anything in hand anyway, so.
Yeah, just drawing that much power after that definitely
So
hurts
much
a
power.
bit.
It's just way too much power.
Mm-hmm. So just as a reminder, we're making sure to enforce play draw here, so it might take a little bit longer. But if we can cut over to the bios for our players, that would be pretty sweet.
It would be sweet. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, you see, the voice of God only works one
Yeah.
way.
Right.
I'm just talking to both, Marvin and the general public, and the voice of God. But the voice of God can say whatever they want to me. Like,
So Croge has been eliminated from the tournament in Group A, I believe. So that's one bit of an update that we have.
And that moves Apple Chips onto 1-1 to actually play whoever the loser of this match is. So if GameGromp drops another game, they know that they have Apple Chips in their future. Apple Chips, since they're still in the event, can start to look at both deck lists and say, okay, what am I going to do in these various matchups? Do I have to mulligan a little bit more aggressively, playing that interesting Menace Throne Room deck?
And Secret Plans lost to John Kez in their bracket.
Yep. So we'll be saying, okay, great. So here's Almost. So Almost actually won the most recent TNE. And they always play these really interesting decks. I really enjoy both watching them play. They're very deliberate and careful, but their decks are always very interesting. Like they'll have decks that have like 37 power in it, or they will have like just a lot of interesting situations and interactions. And whenever I see an Almost deck list, I always try to pilot it myself to see, kind of test myself as a player in the game.
Yeah, notable achievement, second in the Hour of Glass Throne Open, so that's awesome. With the Kilo Triumphant Stranger deck, which does sort of fit, I think, that playstyle that you were talking about.
Yeah, and it looks like Almost is a game developer as a hobby also, so you can follow them on Twitter. I actually didn't know that until the bio, but that's pretty sweet.
I'm gonna guess that Almost's name is Matt. I don't know if you think that, but
I mean, it could also be that Matt is their middle name, and then it's that their first name was Almost Matt.
Could just be Ma TT. You never know.
Oh wow!
And then GameGromp here. Yeah. Notable achievements. That is probably the best notable achievement that we've seen right here. It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like
getting into the Invitational.
Sorry.
No, just getting into the Invitational is an accomplishment in itself. It's awesome.
Yeah, I feel like GameGromp kind of just burst onto the scene, though. Like, I went from not hearing their name at all to feeling like I'm referencing them every week. So you see them being a part of a pretty new team in the Glorious Gathering.
Glorious Gathering, yeah.
Team GG. So at first I thought the initials might stand for Team GameGromp, but I was then informed by Stormguard that it's actually something else.
So I think, wasn't Glorious Gathering the mostly Oceania folks? Isn't that where that is from?
Yeah. It's kind of across the board. So Doc 28 is also in TGG, but it's just a glorious gathering of some of the best people in general in the Eternal community. So glad to see them together, and it's also a card in Eternal for those who don't know.
That's true. So, looks like GameGromp is gonna ship this back, I would think.
Mm-hmm. From Almost side, it is pretty interesting. Those chairman's contracts aren't free, and you see Katra in the hand, which if you want to play on 4, you probably have to play for Shadow Influence first.
right.
I think we're gonna end up seeing both of them pitched. Like they both seem like on the lower end of their range.
GameGromp, that looks pretty good, right? Yeah.
It looks serviceable. I'm not like super happy, but I do think like the dasher's pretty good when you're on the play, and then the cha-cha's probably your best three. It's just a lot of power. So like if say you're this isn't true, but say if you're 50-50 to draw power non-power, then like this hand is ends up being below average. But you are slightly less than 50% to draw power, so it's actually a pretty decent hand. I think almost has to go down to 6 with that.
That's just kind of ugly. And saw a lot of high cost cards there. I can't. It's a little blurry right now, but
oh no, it's fine. It's Ikaria,
there we
Fear, and Bren's Insight along with Big Vara.
yikes! You probably just inscribe that, right?
Yeah. Well, so
some point?
you can crest first. That way, if you get an undepleted power, then you can play Bren's on 2 and Bren's on 3.
That's true. My, I'm sure everybody is listening now, so I can make my pitch for we need crests in Expedition. That's my, it is the sword that I will die on.
So we end up seeing the insignia kept on top, leading to this Bren's Insight as was predicted, and finding the merchant. So now being able to curve out a little. We see a GameGromp kind of running into the problem I was saying with my rough 50-50 estimates of just drawing 2 power.
Yeah.
It's not something you can control, but when the merchant comes down here, you're able to torch it. But what you really need is just another thing. A merchant is fine. Just like a non-removal, non-power spell is what you need next turn, and you almost have it in the bag. But if it's not that, it's probably lights out because the merchant can just find a end of an era, and then that kind of hits all of your things.
Well, end of an era is 5, right? It costs 5.
Right.
So this next turn.
Oh, 8 and 8, sure.
8 and 8. You know, if
right.
Almost finds another unit, then we would maybe be in better shape. Almost would be in better shape if they could find a unit.
Right.
Draw a unit next turn, but
yeah.
Oh yes, I forgot about Saloon Massacre.
Right. So that kind of guarantees that you're able to get there. But like it still doesn't answer the cha-cha. So I think Almost was almost banking on the merchant being able to block there.
Oh, this is rough.
Well, you can play the Hourglass and you have power in your void, I believe. But the problem is that Banner comes into play undepleted. Or sorry, comes into play depleted. So you're not actually able to play the Hourglass and the Saloon Massacre.
Right.
So I think this one just goes to GameGromp, and that ends at this turn.
Torch off the top. Oh, GameGromp takes it. We are all tied up at 1 game apiece.
Yeah, so even though I would say, so the opening hand is like maybe in the middle or slightly higher end of the range for GameGromp. Like Dasher is your best one, it's your only 1 drop, but like it's your effectively best 2 drop because of the lack of removal spells. It has to be Darkwater Vines on Almost decides to really keep up pace wise into the cha-cha, but really nothing was drawn other than 1 torch. Like everything else is power. Like if Almost had maybe a slightly above average hand, I think Almost would have been able to keep up, but instead mulging down to 6 and having pretty much on the lowest end of their range.
Yeah.
And getting pretty lucky. Like being able to find the merchant there was like really good for them.
Do we want to look at deck lists, or did we already look at a deck list?
No, we already looked at. Oh, how about the other people that might have been eliminated? The Voice of God.
Oh yes. Anybody? The Voice of God says we're gonna look at Croge's bio. It says the Voice of God. Croge is a frequent commentator for the T&E, right? Doesn't they pop in every now and then when needed? Always a good backup.
Wow, that fun fact is pretty awesome. So participate in world championships in 3 different things, just not Eternal yet. Now I want to know what the 3 things are. Like, are they other card games? Are they like sports? Is it like Tiddlywinks? Like, I need to know what it is.
I think I feel like Croge looks like he is perhaps a rugby player with a soccer background.
Okay,
and like football background.
And let's go arm wrestling for the third
Arm
one.
wrestling, yes. Yeah. Those are the 3 world championships that they've participated in.
But they also had a pretty good spring season with 4 top 8s. And one thing that's amazing. Like about Croge, and even in this tournament, they aren't above just like playing the best deck or the deck that won the previous week and kind of putting faith in their ability to pilot kind of like not fixing what's not broken.
Notable accomplishment though, rank 1 in Expedition and Throne at the same time. That is
wow.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's
didn't somebody post that they were ranked 1 in all 3 of them at one point?
Oh, I don't even remember. I think I don't know.
This just blows my mind.
I know my best is I think when I cared one time I was like top 5 in all 3 of them, and that felt pretty difficult.
Yeah.
I've definitely done 2. I'm trying to remember. It would have been last year, like more during the pandemic. How about you? Have you ever held, like say top 10 or top 20 in both?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've done that, but that's usually like, if I happen to get in early.
Okay, what do you think about these opening hands? We don't have necessarily the easiest mulligans, but
I feel like the GameGromp could probably do better since the stone the whatever that is. I'm sorry.
Battlefront Dasher Stone Scar 2 drops.
The power is is depleted, right? So that banner is depleted.
Yeah.
If it were,
sorry.
I mean, if it were undepleted, maybe I would be okay with it. But
yeah. Just the way the mulligan works, the fact that it's like almost free, it's like you want Dasher or any for 2 drops. If you don't have those, I think you mulligan roughly 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Especially against a combo deck like Almost. Like if you're not putting them under pressure, you don't win the late game.
Right. Yeah, you don't want to wait until turn 3 to do something against this. So what is Almost's hand?
Yeah, Almost's hand's like really difficult. How do you kind of, break down what you want to do here?
Well, I mean, they don't have anything to fill the void other than Spore Folk, right?
Oh, the Brent's Insight also fills the void.
Oh, it does? I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
That's how much I actually play that one. Okay,
no, it's because the button's covering it. You couldn't read it. It's fine.
So, maybe it's a keep. I love Solar Drag. I love the card.
Yeah.
It's just a card. When that first came out in Flame of Zolta, that was, I don't know, just a sweet card. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, so
they kept, huh? Yep.
I think Almost's hand is like either exactly average or slightly below average. But by having the Spore Folk, you kind of implicitly gain a bunch of health. The Hourglass is a huge pickup though.
So GameGromp shipped it back, and they have a Mischief Salus in their hand. That's also a cool card too. I like that idea of giving all of your units Warcry if you were able to amplify in a late game. At least it does something. So
yeah, definitely. Like the way I like building my aggro decks is having a good late game plan, and cards like that allow you to kind of have a plan for all your extra power. Oh wow, this meltdown is huge.
Interesting. Wow.
I don't think everyone would have put Meltdown on their market in this tournament, even if they were told they have to register Stone Scar aggro. So I really like that amount of discipline. Some people would play Boar there.
Boar, yeah. I mean, I would have like Meltdown is just not the first thing that pops into my head. Boar would have been the one, but I mean, they probably looked at it and said, okay, well, I don't need something to kill multiple relics. I probably just need something to hit that one that I need.
Right. Like if there's any advice I want to give to players that are looking to level up their game, it's that try to see if you can do similar things with lower costs because then you actually are present yourself with more opportunities to just do uh like the flexibility is appreciated in your curve or when things can come into play depleted and stuff. It's hard to plan for all that. If you try to work with the cheaper option, you can end up in a lot of good spots.
Yeah, it's like a no cost. I mean, they didn't have the power to play a boar, so Meltdown really was like the perfect card right there. Okay, so they could play Katra next turn.
Hmm. Yeah, GameGromp has that check though with the open contract.
That's
So
right.
GameGromp kind of knows that the next two turns are kind of just going to dictate the game as a whole.
So if you're almost, are you going to play Rat King and then play Katra the following turn?
Nah, I think you just gotta Katra and Fear and then try to
Okay.
play Caravat the turn after that. So I think, yeah, I think the Persuader is good here. Uh, so you have the Deadly Overwhelm unit, so you know that you can just guarantee more damage. And then depending on how this turn plays out, you might be able to Persuader then Open Contract, but here we see that it's actually going to be the other way around. But I like Game Grump's position in that both spells, like non-power and power, are both good for you. If you got a power, you just play both of your cards. If you got an, or sorry, I guess I jinxed them.
You meant undepleted power, but it's okay.
Yeah. Oh,
This is so.
it
It's a
does
lot
hurt
of damage,
actually.
though. It's a lot of damage.
It would have been so much more damage. Oh, I feel bad. I feel like I jinxed them already.
Okay, so Caravat's gonna come down, but Persuader can't actually punch through the damage. But okay, so Persuader is a 3/3. So what do? Put it on the Merchant then,
Hmm.
or the Deadly unit? Quick draw? I don't know what.
Hmm.
Oh, so I guess it doesn't really matter because they're gonna get to end of an
Saloon
era.
Massacre.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Saloon Massacre.
I think it's a little bit interesting to not go for the market again. So you could have marketed the merchant and then traded in your power to get what would almost have gotten grasping at shadows. Now you just kind of have this etchings, but you can still play with the Carvet, but you're kind of just like off by a turn. But
This might be like the turn, right? The turning point. If GameGromp didn't draw anything of consequence.
Yeah, I think this one's over.
Well, now they're going to get Grasping of Shadows, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, and they get to do it all this turn. So they're able to play the Spore Folk to fuel up the Void more, and then they're able to use this Etchings to find Grasping at Shadows, and then get back another fatty from the graveyard. And Game Gromp's deck doesn't really play well from behind. It's not like Mail's Huru deck where you can just play board clear and get back to parity. Here, it's kind of just you're hoping to kill them before things like this happen.
Yeah. Rough beats. So much power. God, I hate this deck. As you know, as the person that's always on the other side of this deck, it just is so painful to watch. So, is there anything that Game Gromp can do here? Out of the market? No. GG's.
Yep, but this was a battle between the winners bracket, so almost through to the top 8 of our event, where they'll be playing Expedition to try to qualify for Worlds. While Game Gromp will fall down and be playing against Apple Chips in the last match of this group stage.
Sudden death.
Yep. So we'll see if we can bring up any other matches that are still in progress. There might be one left, says the voice of God. So we'll see if we can make it a reality.
Just imagining SFRS as like Morgan Freeman or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, here we go. So we have male. So this is a match between the winner. So it's male against Jazz, and so male and I talk sometimes before events like this, and he kind of just sent me his deck list, and he said, "I am trying to beat Xenon in both formats. If everyone's just playing Xenon, I will win the tournament." Maybe those words weren't exactly said, but it was roughly what I think was meant, and kind of holding true here. So we don't know what game this is, but I think Male has this one in the bag.
Look at that armor.
Yeah.
24. So there were quite a few
Orem condemnations?
Orem condemnations.
Yeah, it had to be on like Katra or something like that.
It's just crazy.
Do we know what game this is?
Don't know. We don't know what game.
I mean, it looks like it was kind of a slog, though. I could see this still being game one.
Yeah, especially, you know, they're on 15 power. Is that what I see there?
Yeah,
it's a lot of power.
Against 12 power, yeah.
So Orin Condemnations would have a couple of those, too. I mean, to give 24 power, I mean, maybe it was just one Katra. And their deck size, the Void over there on Jez's looks pretty stacked at 53 cards, so might be game one.
So Marvin, have you ever done the trick where you play a card like Boundless Knowledge, like the Unleash cards, and then you like market away the last copy or something like that?
I think I have actually done that once.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely done it with other Unleash cards, though.
Oh, nice.
For sure. Ooh, had to get rid of. Well, I guess spells don't really matter so much, maybe?
I think this is one of those, there's no wrong way to eat your Reese's. Like, the game's just pretty deterministic from here.
Yeah, they're down to 10. Just Jez is having to top deck. I mean, like, if they get a Avara, things change, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, depending on what's in the Void, you might be able to like Vara, Avara, and then just keep on doing that. And if you have enough power to get your market Subversion, and then use Subversion their hand, which I think makes them discard all their spells, I think you can still win. But I believe Subversion was already played because we saw, I think it's called a Cantha, like the 9-drop one. And I think that's probably from a Sky Crag Synthesis. And the only 9-drop you would counter is Subversion. So,
okay, well.
So I think that would have been Jez's only out.
Oh, that was display, right? Okay, so they played the display. And now that's GG, right?
Yeah.
G to the G. Male takes that game. Not sure which one it was. Oh, I'm sorry. It was game 2, maybe?
We'll figure it out. It's hard to tell sometimes. So due to not having tournaments be able to take place in the Eternal interface, we have to use something else. I think today we're using Battlefy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Battlefy.
So that requires the players to self-report. So, you know, sometimes you're just really in the zone and you forget to do so and whatnot, or you don't have the luxury.
I never forget.
Yeah.
I never forget. That's probably why I'm not in the Invitational, because I spend all my time making sure that I update my score.
I can relate to that.
I'm a better player.
Yeah. Well, once the game's over, I report the score and then I go to the bathroom. Just every round. Kind of make it a routine. But it is true that if you spend a lot of time playing, say, like the opens or just on ladder, like you're just not used to there being something else other than winning. Looks like
male 120. That was the end of the round. So I assume we are going to go to a break. Okay. We're going to look at the defeated players to give them their just recognition for making it to the Invitational. Again, that is always a huge accomplishment. I try every time and don't make it. So I envy all of these players for having the chops to make it. So Phoenix lost to Stormguard in the losers bracket, I've been told. What's the fun fact here? Not this. Oh yes, this is hilarious. Not the same person as the other Phoenix. Like I don't know how many times I've been like, oh, I'm friends with this Phoenix, and then I look and I'm like, oh, it's the other Phoenix that I'm friends with, or the other opposite way. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Phoenix is like probably top 5 or definitely top 10 of like my favorite players in the game in terms of how I feel like they're approaching meta games, how they play. I like watching them play. So unfortunately, we weren't able to see them on camera with their really cool nesting Aviasaur combo deck, but losing to Stormguard makes sense with the just the ability for the ABCDEF deck to kind of go under and get a Skycred synthesis from the market. Using their Fearless Crescendo, so that makes sense.
Of the world competitors, Phoenix has got the best avatar because they actually have like the Phoenix avatar, plus with the the fancy worlds scrolling on it or bunting on it. It's pretty cool. Always a pleasure to play and lose to them.
Let's see who else we got.
So Secret Plans lost to John K. Kez in their matchup. We're going to look at their screen. Winning this season's Challenge 8 was their notable achievement, which is awesome. It's just amazing to win a tournament. Record holder for lethal premium snowball wins. Unverified. It's unverified. I believe it. I don't know.
It'll be cool to see if Secret Plan starts popping up more on the open circuit as well. Just sometimes doing well in something like the TNE, a very low cost event, can ignite the fire. I know personally it was day 2ing the first QCP like challenge or whatever they were called way back when, and it was like the first tournament I ever played in, and just that feeling just kind of kept me hooked to the game. So maybe this is just the start for Secret Plans.
Yeah, I hope so. Are they on a team, or are they?
I don't think so. Okay. So maybe looking to join one.
Secret Plans. Well, I think up next, Martin lost to Gozu. Martin's notable achievement, top 8 of the Revelations Draft Open. That's awesome. Draft is impossible for me, so that is sweet. And owns over 700 cardboard games. And I was in Gozu's chat yesterday, and I think Martin actually confirmed that is actually true, that they have over 700 card/board games.
Wait, I want to visit Martin's house or wherever it is. Like, I think we should have like an eternal party, like where we rent out some sort of like convention hall or something and just gather all the Eternal players from around the world and just like have like an event.
I can't wait until we actually do that, because that would be so much fun, like there's just so many people that I'm interested in knowing in real life, and it would be so cool to actually just be like hanging out and being like, holy crap, there's Watchwolf, he's over, I'm sorry, you're over here on the screen that I'm looking at now. We could run 1 mile together. I don't know if I could do more than that, but there you go, we got lots of miles. And well, I think with that we're gonna break, and then we'll have the next round in another few minutes.
It would be great.